Hello, ladies.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
How are you both today?
Oh, I don't know what day it is.
I know. Yeah, Kristen and I tried to make a meeting for tomorrow, and she was like, "Oh, good. My son is off school on Friday." And I was like, "Tomorrow's Thursday."
Well, I'm over here snowed in Michigan, possibly indefinitely at this point. So I'm not sure what day it is either, frankly.
What are they calling this storm? Like a polar tornado or something?
I thought you meant like snowpocalypse, snowmageddon, like all the terms we've all come up with for those things. I haven't caught that. There's a polar vortex that we dealt with a few years ago. That was the first time I had ever heard of that type of winter weather. But yeah, currently I'm not sure what's happening other than I think it's snowed like 6 inches today so far, at least.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I'm Sarah Ayler. With me is Kristen Fagan, and then we are so excited to have Cassandra here from Beads to Live By. And Cassandra, you own a brick and mortar bead store, or are you doing an online bead store?
I do. We have a brick and mortar store, and that location has been open for 9 years as of next week. And then our website has always acted as a place for our customers to register for classes and purchase our patterns, but we've recently been adding a lot of our products recently as of 2020-ish.
Yeah.
There as well.
Like everybody else in the world that didn't have product online, they all of a sudden were like, we've got to get product online.
Yeah. Time to pivot, right?
Exactly, for sure. And then we also have an Etsy store that we use for a lot of random things, and we've got a lot of our Soft Flex products there too.
Yay.
Very cool. Thank you.
Where is your store located? You mentioned Michigan, but where in Michigan?
So if you are looking at, is the mitten facing the right way like this? I feel like on camera I see it the correct way, but either way, we are like about here in Michigan. So Jackson is about 30 minutes south of our capital, Lansing, and we're about an hour north of the Ohio border, but we are like right smack dab in the middle of the state pretty much.
I see. Is it a small town or a bigger town? What size is Jackson?
Oh gosh, the population has shrunk and grown quite a bit in my lifetime, but I would say it's probably kind of a medium sort of size city. Our biggest communities in Michigan are like Detroit, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, Lansing, and then Jackson falls definitely underneath of those, but bigger than a lot of our outlying cities and county areas outside of town, out by Lake Country in this part.
What made you open a bead store 9 years ago? Like, what was
the trigger? So I worked for another store that was open from 2002 until I believe they closed in 2012. And I started working there when I was a freshman in college. I literally just happened to live in the community and have retail experience. I really didn't make hardly any jewelry. I was an art major at the time in school, and I ended up working at the store all the way through college. I graduated and worked there full time and managed the business for 3 years. And then I felt really odd about having this degree that didn't seem like I was getting any use out of. So I took another job and for several years worked at another business, and then found out that they were closing in 2012. And my husband and I just happened to be in a position where we felt like there was still a demand in this community. We had a pretty large beading community locally. And so in the fall of 2012, when we found out they were closing, we just like threw everything at that idea, and we opened on February 8th in 2013.
Oh, wow. So you're coming up on an anniversary for
That'll be our 9-year anniversary, yes.
Oh, congratulations.
That's awesome.
9 years with 2 of them being pandemic years. So those get like an additional length of time.
5 years at least, yeah.
Those
Thank you for acknowledging that, Sarah.
It's so true.
We have Sam on here saying that when he does his representation of California, he points to his elbow crease for the Bay Area. It's right in the middle.
I didn't know any other state did that, but that's awesome.
That's funny.
Because he was very impressed with your Michigan hand.
I feel like we get made fun of almost in the media for that. So I always purposefully do it because it's very convenient.
Yeah. I've never even seen or heard anyone do that before. I was like,
what?
Oh, Michigan's the shape of a hand?
It's a pattern from mitten state, Sarah.
Oh, yeah. Michigan might be one of the few states I haven't visited. I don't think there's any big beach show.
Not a huge one, no.
Yeah. When I first started with Softflex, I did these intergem shows and I went to like almost every state in the country. I mean, I went all over because we would go somewhere new every weekend and set up a booth and have a trade show and tear it down, go home for 2 days and then start over. And, but I don't remember ever going to Michigan, which is interesting. I don't know if they don't have them there or Scott and Mike were like, that's just too cold. Because we did avoid snow, like generally speaking, because then you would get stuck, you know,
right?
Which is tricky.
Yeah,
absolutely. I don't blame anyone, especially on days like today, for avoiding this area. At least part of the year. Part of the year, it's like the most magical place to live because we don't get a lot of the extreme storms that other areas of the country do. We don't get the extreme heat in the like late spring to early fall. It's just like a perfect climate, but then you get to deal with like a foot of snow in a matter of 24 hours.
Yeah.
Just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's so pretty when it's freshly fallen though. It's really one of the most beautiful things. It's just that you have to move it and like live in it is the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the issue is trying to get through it. Well, let's see. Donna says we have, Kristen just got it too. We have a gem show in Novi, Michigan several times a year. Oh, good. Yes. I just didn't happen to make it to one when I was heavily traveling. But I'm sure there are some shows that are there. And look at Angela says she is one of the best bead stores around. I believe it. What do you say your store specializes in? What do you think you have the most of?
So we used to say that we were really seed bead focused. That's the like culture that I was raised up in the beading community. It was more of like a stitch heavy focus. But really nowadays we have just as much check glass and kind of gathering stones here and there as we go along. So, I mean, we have, I think, a pretty full line and selection of Softflex products now as of this year and or over the last year. And really have been trying to broaden some of those things just to catch the different levels that people are working at and the different levels of interest in those different products. But I think maybe that even though I'm designing more and more in the stringing and some of the wire products, that I probably still come across as a seed bead weaver. Some of the things I do and the way that I work probably still is like, oh, but can I make these beads go in and out of this area or something?
Right. So that's your background where you came from.
That's probably where my heart lives a little bit. So
do you feel like your designs have simplified a little bit in the way that you process it, but you still have a lot of those techniques, those bead weaving techniques?
Yeah, I would say because of the need and the desire to do the live videos, we've been doing a live video almost weekly. And that's, because I am also running the store and managing the website as well. All one woman show over here at this point. But for the need to be able to condense something into about an hour is usually my goal. You just can't do a lot of seed bead weaving projects in that amount of time, or there's so many more opportunities for the stringing and the wire working too. So
yeah, I can see that. I can see how that would be challenging. I know when I do like an Instagram reel, I'm challenged to like, how can I fit this in 60 seconds?
In 1 minute.
Yeah, I'm like, can I do a whole necklace? I tend to, gear towards earrings there because they're much quicker, but it can be challenging to fit it into a time slot, especially something like a seed bead project that could take days, to really complete.
Do little bits of it.
So what I wanted to ask is, you mentioned you have kits. Do you have a regular stash of kits? Do you do kits per project that you're showing, or how are your kits working? Because I know we have a lot of Softflex users that love kits, especially if it's something that may be a little challenging for them to figure out on their own.
So I normally do kit things based on a combination of where I'm kind of showing that project. So I'm one of the instructors on the upcoming bead cruise in March. That's being hosted by Becky Haley this year, and previously has hosted by Heather Powers. So in those situations, really the only thing that can be taken as kits due to the constraints of our luggage, because of course I need all my cocktail dresses and things for the cruise itself.
Of course.
Priorities.
It can't all be beads. So it's kind of like on a necessity basis. I've been trying to do more kits because of course it's probably easier for people to grab one. Aw, hi Rosalinda. To grab one for videos like this. But this video, it was a unique circumstance where, thanks, Tony. A unique circumstance where a lot of the things I already had on our website. So I went ahead and just added a few more things. So I did mention to Sarah earlier that I have a Facebook group where I've listed easy links to all of the items on our website, and I can share that group either on the comment section here or in the Softflex VIP group later on as well.
What is the name of the group? Because Thomas, you haven't met Thomas because he's behind the scenes here, but he'll grab the link and link it for you.
Awesome. So I posted it in our group that's called New Beads, and there's an exclamation point at the end.
Okay. So Thomas, if you could look for that Facebook group and post a link, we will make it accessible. And then after the live show, Cassandra is going to go into our Softflex VIP group, and she'll post links there too. So you can go over and grab the list of products needed for today's project using Softflex beading wire. Let me see what Tony is saying down here. She says, you've done a 60-second earring wire demo with Softflex wire. Oh, yes, I have many of them.
And here's a little behind the scenes. They do not take a minute to create.
That is a very good point.
I find they take me about 30 minutes.
About 30 minutes, probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a minute-long video that takes 30 minutes to make. It looks so like, oh, that was so easy, but it does take some thinking to figure out what steps you want to show to people that they really need to see in order to accomplish the full pattern. I feel like I've gotten better than when I first started. So there is room for improvement always.
I don't know if you guys are fans of the movie that Jim Carrey did, Liar Liar.
I haven't seen
it. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's funny.
There's a scene where he's on the stand and he like makes a little paper crumpled like thing and throws it in the air and says "swan" or something. And my mom and I do that to each other all the time to depict when it's like something looks way easier than it actually is.
That's great.
There's lots of things like that when you own a small business. Lots of things look way easier.
Yeah. I'm thinking I was particularly thinking, I think about a week or so ago, I did a reel and I, did it all, saved it. It was in my drafts. And then I went to blow it up on the last section, not realizing that it blows up the whole reel. So when I posted it, it was all like you were like this close. I was like, okay, nobody can see that. So then I had to delete it all. And I was like, oh, that was frustrating.
That is frustrating. All that work.
Tough. That is so tough. All right. Well, let's flip down to Cassandra's hand cam and show us what you're going to make today.
So I will focus on this fun flippy pip area here because that's the kind of main focus of the project, and I'll show you guys how I attached the pendant, the bee as well. These components are from TierraCast, and I have those as a bundle. I did a button for the clasp on this one. But I think, chain on the back side would be another great option if you're wanting to speed up the process a little bit. And we can talk about this part if we have time. This is just like a fun little, less complicated part than even what I did with the pips at the base there. But that's I'm using the fine soft flex, which I think so today I'll work with the bronze, but I've got the copper in at least one of these two. And I've been mixing my metals with my crimp beads and the findings. There's really no rules in my world. So
they're so pretty.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see how it all comes together. So we're going to give you the floor to go ahead and show it, and we'll mute ourselves so we don't take away from.
Okay. No pressure, right? So I've got all my seed beads laid out here, and I did make sure and give you guys some links to specific colors for this piece and the colors I'm using tonight specifically, but I'll just give you guys kind of a overview. I'm working with, like I said, these are TierraCast components that we carry, and we've got all 3 colors, the copper, the gold, and then the silver. And these are size 6 and size 8 seed beads. And I think even though I'm using a Miyuki Japanese seed bead, you could use probably any kind of seed bead for this. You know, depending on how fussy you are about things being really even keeled. And then these are an 8mm fire polish, and those are listed on our site as a kind of surprise listing. So you choose the size and then request the color to go with your project, which I thought was kind of fun since we don't have all of our fire polish up yet. And then these are our little pip beads, and I have over 100 colors of those listed. So those are definitely all available. Our soft flex products, the crimp beads and the wire, are not listed on our website. They're listed on our Etsy store. So if you don't already have your supplies from your friends at Softflex and you're ordering stuff from us, if you need help kind of figuring out how to not pay shipping twice and that kind of thing, just let me know. But I did put together these bee bundles. I think I called them bee bundles, but those links are available too. You get 8 different colors, right? 8, yep. For the price of what normally a strand of one color of 8 would be. So all the colors I'm using in my samples are in this bundle that's listed on our website with a better picture out of the bag. So this is the color of the bee that I'm going to use for the pendant tonight. And I think that'll be a really fun combination for, I just wanted to do something more, more neutral palette after working with all of those brighter colors in the original samples. So I've got about a yard of that fine soft flex that I've already cut for myself. And I'm going to take one end of that and go through my honeycomb component, and I'm just going through the either end is fine. And when I do projects like this, I do like, I've got this doubled over, but I am going to leave the ends a little uneven. I think that's easier to work with for some things. And then I've got my 2x2 crimp bead, and we're gonna go through both, or I'm going to go through the crimp bead with both of those pieces of wire. And then I'm bringing that down to my component there. So forgive me, girls, I don't know where this crimper is from, but it's my handy dandy regular crimper that I use.
No, those are totally fine. We use those sometimes too. You just don't see me using them a lot lately, but they're the crimping pliers I've used for years as well.
Okay. I was like, I don't even know. I know you guys sell tools, correct? So
yes,
I was like,
do.
I hope this is not like some horrible off-brand.
No. It's a Euro tool too.
Okay.
So
Okay. Awesome. So that's what I use for when I'm wanting to fold them. I tend to pull my crimp beads out of a random box of goodies, and so sometimes the crimp bead brand and the magical crimper brand that I have don't line up right, and so to avoid major sadness, I sometimes just default to the crimper with the folding mechanism. So I just crimped off that start crimp, and then I've got a size 6 that I'm going to add next, and all of these beads are going to go over both pieces of wire. So we're going to start with my size 6, and then a size 8. I can't wait to see these colors come together. These are really like luscious neutrals. Oh, if I can get that bead on there. You girls know working on camera is so different than working just in real life.
A million times different. Yeah.
It can be so challenging.
It's very challenging to keep everything in screen and make sure it's focused and be able to see it yourself.
Exactly. Oh my word.
And count beads. I miscount all the time.
Oh, good. I'm so glad I'm not the only one. Thank you for that. So the first 3 that, oh, thank you so much, Tracy. The first 3 I've added are the size 6, the size 8 seed beads, and then the 8mm fire polish. So those are gonna stay on both pieces of wire, and then the shorter piece, I am going to just stick one of my handy dandy, oh gosh, what do you guys call these? Bead stoppers. Had a momentary blank there, so that nothing comes off that. And the part that I'm working with the shorter piece for now is going to be this little, we're going to call it a pip skirt, a little bead skirt there. So those are the size 8s and the pips, and the 8s just flank the pips. So I'm going to throw these on my wire a little faster off camera, and then I'll show you guys before I like do anything else with them. How does that sound?
Sounds great. You're doing a good job. Can see everything.
So for every 3 pips, you'll end up with 4 size 8 seed beads because you want those to be on either side there. So that's what I've strung onto my working piece of wire. And then I pull those down to the rest of the work, and I'm going to take the short end of the wire and go back through, or this is the long end, I'm sorry. We're working with the longer piece, which, you know, not by much, like an inch or 2. So the only thing I'm going through is the 8mm. And I came from the start end towards the working end there. So once I get that partway through, I can grab onto the end, and then you want to keep everything not like super tight, but a little taut this portion as you pull this down so that when everything comes together, it's got like a nice little, it's got some flair to it.
It makes a skirt shape.
It is a little bead skirt. And that is the entirety of the technique, but there's a little bit more to it when you get on the other side of it. So when you come to this side, your next sequence is going to be a size 8 and then a 6 and then an 8 seed bead. And I'll again put those on both pieces of the wire this time and bring them on camera so you can see. So I've got those 3 seed beads on both pieces of wire. And then it is a straight repeat for a couple sections where we're going to add another size 8 millimeter, and then we make another skirt for it. And there's going to be a total of 3 skirts before we do something a little different to create a space for our pendant. So you guys are welcome. I mean, if you want to chit chat with me while we're repeating, I can also just narrate every step too.
Sure. Yeah, I can always chit chat.
I just feel like if I narrate six exact repeats of this little skirt,
we'll watch you read and we can all chat a little bit. We started a new sale today at softflexcompany.com, and I see Kristen's out of the picture here, but maybe she can help me remember. I think it's 20% off all findings.
Ooh.
Is that right? Yeah, so we just got all of our tier cast restocked. We were running a little short on it. And
somehow I got out of the stream. Sorry about that. Me and my chubby little fingers, I think I hit mute. I tried to hit unmute and I took myself out of the stream. But it's it's up to 45% off the crimson components. It's 15% off regular priced, and then an extra 15% off up to 30% off with the closeout and the outlet. Wow. That's kind of how it worked out.
We've been working on streamlining our findings, so we still have some things that we put into closeout that are a really fantastic deal from years and years ago that we've just are ready to move through. So make sure you check all that out at softflexcompany.com and see if there's anything there that you might need. I see Thomas posted information too. So is your store open when it's snowy like this?
So I am doing lots of virtual things today and tomorrow because we are not open. Our city actually declared a snow emergency or a state of emergency, so people can't even park on our streets right now, which is the majority of our parking at our business. And I don't know how well they're plowing the parking lots downtown either. So today and tomorrow I figured it was best just to be virtual, but tomorrow my customers can look forward to, I'm going to do a pop-up stone trunk show live, and then I'm also going to do, I haven't even announced this on our page yet, a video with this little heart tutorial that I'm using our mini gem duos in. So
cute.
She's already done 3 of those, you guys. Look how fast that's coming together, even though it looks more complicated. It strings together quickly.
With the size of the beads, that's my favorite part about things like this is that, you've got a little something going on, but it really does not take as much time as it looks like it could.
Yeah, Angela is saying it's so pretty. I love the way the metal components look like honeycomb, or maybe that was the look you were shooting for. The gold necklace just reminds me of honey all the way around. Really nice.
That was exactly what I was going for. I'm so glad it comes across because sometimes those things just don't translate.
So true. It's beautiful. You have a really good eye for color.
Oh, thank you. I always brag because as much as I didn't finish my art degree, I did have a whole semester of color theory when I was in school. So.
And it was probably really helpful.
I was going to come back around and ask you about that art degree.
There's a story there. Well, I'll explain what I'm doing here in the center, and then I'll share my tales of college.
Sounds good.
Whoa. So the center, I do this little extra set of seed beads. So there's 1, 8, 6, 8, 6, and then 8. And that creates just enough space so that when you hang that bee component or whatever focal you decide to use, you just want to give, because if you look between the other skirts, there's like no space there. And I just wanted to make a little extra room for whatever focal we have there. So that's what I'm doing after the 3 sets of skirts before I continue. Yeah, I started off as an art major. I still draw and have been doing a little bit of like watercolor journaling, like illustrating, just to try to deal with like the stress of the pandemic. And my husband and I are moving. Literally, I'm surrounded by boxes right now that I strategically moved out of the way so you guys wouldn't have to stare at them. But the art is my like first love when it comes to what I wanted to do with my life. And partway through studio art classes in college, I realized that I also really liked people, and I was really lonely because I was spending a lot of time by myself, just like toiling away in front of canvases and drawing paper and in the studio by myself. So our art department wasn't a fan of me having another type of minor, and I already had enough credits to have an art minor. So I just like dumped them like a bad habit and went into the business school and finished my business degree with all the credits I needed for that in 2.5 years, and had an art minor to go along with it. So
very cool. It can be a very lonely thing for sure, just doing art. It definitely speaks to my solitary part of myself when I create.
Yeah,
in that way.
Yes, because as much as I am definitely a people person and I need that interaction, I need just as badly to take time to recharge, which I love having my drawing and kind of journaling options for that kind of stuff, because it's a good quiet activity to do by yourself, or beading, of course.
Yeah, I have a little cousin who's 12 years, she's not little anymore, but she's 12 years younger than me. And she got an art degree, and I remember her telling me like halfway through that they kept telling the students not to worry about what they were going to do after they got out of college, just to worry about doing their degree. And I was like, that's good. Like, you should focus on the art, but I also am a little concerned about what you do when you're outside.
I think they do such a disservice to students with that, because they really should. They really don't give any business advice, and they need to a little bit.
That was literally the other half of my request. Was I wanted to do a minor in business so that I could get that aspect, because up until at least that point in my program, that was completely lacking. We were basically just like drawing trees using only one line for 5 hours outside of our house, or something that was purposefully intensive and very helpful to our craft. But I felt like I'm not paying attention either to what I'm doing right now. Oh, goodness. Chit-chatting away there. So I agree 100%, maybe even more strongly than that. If somebody is going into the art, the expense of paying somebody else to either market you, do your graphics, if you're not, if you don't happen to be a graphic person already by trade, And then all the other components of like being able to decide how much you should charge for something, what you would need to sell in order to make a living. I mean, there's so much to that that's business oriented that really would be helpful. Thanks, Nancy.
Yeah, I think what you did makes a lot of sense. And look what you've been able to build because of it, because you have that art background that taught you all about color and the things you need to make, but also a business background to be able to own a store and, and feed yourself making art.
Yeah, absolutely. And the experience of working for several other small business owners, if that's not a requirement in somebody's scholastic, career, I highly recommend the idea of, even if it's an independent internship or, something along those lines, the on-the-job experience is literally priceless because you just figure out things that happen that you don't get taught in a classroom setting.
Yeah, I agree.
100%.
Kristen, you have an art degree.
I do. I have. Yes. I went to an art college in New York City, and I actually got a communications visual design degree, but it was a fine arts college as well. So I got to take a bunch of fine art classes and almost jumped ship from design and went into illustration. And then I was like, no, maybe I should stick with design. And yeah. And but I've always been sort of like, what if? And so now I've been a designer for Softlex Company for many years. And then I started to teach with them in these beading videos, and it got me more comfortable to teach in the art world too. So I teach art and painting, and I have an art show actually this Friday it's a group show here in Phoenix, and it's been fun to just do both.
Where is it, in case we have any of our Phoenicians watching?
Oh, it's at this really cute creative community called The Hive on 16th Street. And inside The Hive, it's in the Howland Studios Gallery. So I'm very excited. It's so
cool. Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's fun to keep all those creative things going. And it's interesting to see how they all intersect.
Right? And the non-creative of the business side of it too. Yeah, it's wild how it all kind of comes together. And I'm sure if you are spending time beading and designing in that way, you probably notice that when you take time to do other creative things, it fuels, it's like a circle rather than something taking from one and going into the other.
Right. Yeah, it's like a spiral. They feed each other.
Yeah, or boomerang or something. Yeah, I'm like, I can't think of the exact right metaphor, but they definitely go back and forth hand in hand. So, speaking of beading, I've gotten to the end of my pip skirts here.
Nice.
We have a question.
Yeah. Paula's wondering if you could use extra fine wire for this design. I would say yes, but fine is better. Fine is stronger.
I would not speak to the strength of it for the sake of like all the heavier chuck glass, but I know everything would fit correctly because it's thinner than what I'm using right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's only 7 strands of stainless steel in the 010 very fine versus 21 strands of steel in the 014, and it does make a difference in how strong it is for holding up those beads that can be slightly abrasive when they're kind of maneuvering themselves back and forth on the wire.
Awesome. I'm glad that I've got the experts here to answer those questions.
Definitely do. There are no better experts on Softlex than
So At the end, I'm a real stickler for when I'm working with products like this. I try really hard to mirror what I do at the beginning. So after that third pip skirt, I come out of that fire polished, and then I added a size 8 and a size 6 seed bead, and then my crimp. And that allows me to exactly replicate the way that it started. And this time I go back through, or I go through the honeycomb with both of my pieces of wire. And then I'm going to feed those back down through however many. I think I let loose of one. I'll grab him in a second, but go back through those seed beads. I like to have a little cushion of something that kind of is a barrier between the end of like where I'm going to cut the wire and then where the crimp is.
Sam is asking, is the extra fine stronger than beading thread? Yes. If you were to do like a break strength test, Sam, it would be stronger. It's quite strong. I feel like it's a 5-pound test, which is 5 pounds in motion before it snaps and breaks. So it's very, very strong, but it is very thin. So when you have beads that are abrasive and they shift around on a wire, they're sort of like little knives cutting into the wire. And so you want a thicker, more durable wire for most projects. So you usually, our rule of thumb is use the thickest wire you can within the parameters of your project, your bead size, how many times you're going through the bead, etc.
That's a fantastic rule of thumb to have in my back pocket. I appreciate that little tidbit about the whatever's the thickest, which is something that I kind of default towards doing anyways, but haven't ever really had anybody articulate like that.
Thought of why you're doing it. Yeah.
So I'm just taking that crimp bead and giving it a good squeeze and a fold over. And I did attempt to mimic the direction of how my honeycomb was laying, mirroring the first one as well. Like I said, I try not to be too rigid about that stuff, but I do pay attention to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to just get in here. These are my flush cutters, which I shouldn't use. Hi, Judy. Shouldn't use for all of my wire and stringing beading wire, but I use those for all of it. I do have some dedicated beading wire trimmers at the store too that I should probably break open a package for myself. I know you guys understand that idea of
Yeah.
What you've got on hand.
What you sell versus what you keep on hand for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, and beading wire is very hard on cutters because it is our beading wire has a stainless steel core, and so think about it, those cutter blades are cutting in through steel, so they can wear down a pair of cutters fairly quickly.
Yeah, it's probably why mine I go through them not terribly fast, but not slowly either.
Yeah. Well, this looks so beautiful. You're getting lots of wonderful comments about how impressed everybody is. I see Danielle Wicks just joined us. Also,
another
guru. So
designer friend. Yeah.
Thank you, Danielle. Those bee beads are just awesome.
Aren't they so pretty?
Yeah, hold it up so we can see the detail. Not too close. Back off just a little. Right there.
Too much
detail on that, and it comes in a bundle. So when you buy them, you're going to get multiple different colors of that bead, and those are
really so pretty.
I had to hold off from using the turquoise one with the copper because that's like a color that I always use.
That's my color, or that kind of yellowy one, the almost like a chartreuse or
mustard.
Yeah, mustard.
Oh, yeah.
I love that one.
And that has a copper. It doesn't come across as much metallic as that turquoise one, but the copper on this one is that darker kind of patina on it, and it really.
Mm-hmm. And the one below it, even that butter yellow,
which is this color here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the one you use. That's so pretty.
And then this
like
guy,
a honey color.
that
Purple.
This one's like a kind of a ruby with
Ooh.
a very similar finish to this.
I like that one a lot.
Periwinkle.
You couldn't see that in the bag as much until you pulled that out.
You should.
I was like, I really should be pulling all of them out. And then of course there's that. This one is, I think, similar to this, but has that blue finish on it.
It's almost like a lapis color.
Yeah.
So pretty.
It looks like those lapis nuggets I just bid on.
Ooh.
Oh, did you bid on some lapis nuggets at the
did.
I was trying to call you back when the greens were
I know. I was busy. I actually looked at it this morning, but I have some of those lapis nuggets already. So they are lovely. If I don't win them and you out there do win them, you're going to be very lucky and very happy.
Now we have a live sale going on right now, everybody, and the best place to find it is in our Softflex Facebook group, our VIB Studio group. I have it in the featured section. There are 2 parts, so it's easy to find both of them there. Or you can find part 1 pinned to the top of the Softflex Company Facebook page. But it's open through Thursday night, tomorrow night, Kristen.
Tomorrow night. Yeah.
Tomorrow is Thursday.
Well, we had a whole, our sale ended. We had to do it early. I was just way off kilter this week.
Did everybody see how she just magically made that little loop and then looped it over the beadwork? I was wondering how you were going to add it. I was like, I'm going to add the pendant. I normally would just string it. So I was kind of scratching my head thinking, what are you going to do here?
And the real magic here is that this is just the 2 ends from my rest of my skirt part. So that part doesn't get wasted because I always tend to cut a little extra for myself.
Mm-hmm. Smart. That's a great tip.
That's got the crimp bead on first, and then I went ahead and stuck that 6 on there, but it'd probably be easier just to put your crimp bead on and smush that up and then go ahead and add your 6 so that it doesn't fall off. But I just bring that down. It ends up separating in such a cute way at the top that it looks like a little veil almost to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll just go in and try to get that crimp bead to behave itself. Of course, I just smushed it in the wrong spot technically, so see if I can get it over to the middle here real quick. There we go.
It's so hard. You need 6 hands when you're doing a video.
Oh my goodness, that's no joke. And then the one thing that I will tell everyone is this is 4 strands. Oh, that's my mom, Sheila.
Hi, Sheila.
She's a fellow designer. You'll see her name all over our Facebook page because she designs tons of beautiful projects for us. And she helps me out in the store, thank goodness, because she's probably the only one. My husband knows just enough to be dangerous on our computer, but she's got the biggest handle on the rest of what happens there. So I just trimmed off, out of those 4 strands, I trimmed a strand because only 3 strands will fit through that bee.
Aha.
And then I just feed the rest of those through him.
Thank you, Lois, for saying our crimps and crimping pliers are fantastic. We appreciate that. Everyone's saying hi to your mom.
Aw. we call her Bead Mom.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's very cool.
Sam says he loves families together in business.
I agree. It's really a blessing. We get to spend lots of time together, and I love it. During the pandemic, that was really hard when our store was closed for over 2 months, and we spent a lot of that time not seeing each other because of, health concerns.
Mm-hmm.
So to reunite in the summer of 2020 and be like in person again. It was pretty incredible.
That is awesome.
All right, so I've got that size 6. Again, I'm all about the symmetry. I've got a 6 on either side of that B, and then I stick my crimp on the bottom there and just give him another crimp and fold.
So what's really good about this, you guys, is Cassandra's using 3 strands of 014, which is great if you're doing something like pendant here, because the 014 has a thinner nylon coating than the 019 that you'll often see Kristen and I using. And so you really need a little bit more wire to grab onto it to make sure that it's sturdy. It's a very smart way to make that little pendant center.
And against my normal policy, I did chop the wires right off at the end of that crimp bead. And originally I kept trying to put something under the B, and it was just like taking away from everything else. So I decided to just nix that and cut it off at the butt.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine to do when you're crimping properly with good crimps. And
we do that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad it's not against the rules.
No rules.
Yeah, we actually are much more, we always tell people you can cut off at the crimp as long as it's, done well and it's crimped properly and securely. You'll have no problem with it.
Awesome. And then just to give people a close up, and I can post better pictures of this too. I did a little stringing where I left some of the soft flex. So I, did a similar like a yard and doubled it over at the other side of the honeycomb from the little skirt there. And I started off with a crimp, and then I just did sections with the same beads I was using in the base of the necklace, so that you can use all your same supplies and kind of replicate some of the look without these skirts. I think if they were along the whole side of the necklace, would tend to flip around more than the OCD person like myself would appreciate. So thanks mom and dad. So I just used crimp every so often in between those sections to hold the wire that was bare in kind of a sort of a configuration, just enough to flip those pip beads around and then cluster sections of the fire polish and the seed beads.
I love the texture that adds in the back part. It's so pretty.
Yeah, I don't always love, like, a lot of my stitch designs I still do chain up the back, but I was excited with like just the touch of the pip and having a little bit of replication of the pattern in the front, enough just to get like more of that color up the back. And then not anything crazy fancy with the size 8 seed beads make a great button loop though. And I had to use another bee on this necklace because it just was so perfect.
So cute.
Sticking with the theme. It's really cute.
Yeah, I love it. I think you sent us some photos already, but maybe if you finish that third colorway, send us a photo
of that.
Yeah, so we can show it to everybody. I saw a quick question from Lorena. What I was saying with the 014 is when you're using it with a large check glass bead like Cassandra is, and you're crimping below it, which the weight of gravity is going to want to pull that big bead down. It's great that she has 3 strands of 014 so that her crimp could really grab into the wire and hold on to it. You could also do a similar look with 019, and it has a thicker nylon coating, so it's a little easier for crimps to grasp into the wire and get a really good hold. But that was a really smart way to put together her pendant. Awesome. I see Sam says his sister is coming.
to work with him.
Have you all seen some of the check shapes in Cassandra's Etsy? What could be there? All sorts of stuff. If it's anything like these bee beads, then I'm in.
Yeah, they're so pretty.
There are some really fun nautical themed things that could be similarly addictive with this type of project. And then lots of floral things too. So
Sam is sharing tulips and anchors is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Hey, so if you're not a bee person, all you would need to do is switch out that bee in front for maybe an anchor, and then on the where the beehives are, use one of the tiara cast rings or something similar that's decorative, and then use a button that makes sense with your design. But you could make this design your own very easily.
It's such a pretty design. I really, truly love it. And I love all the colors. You have such a great eye for color. That color theory class
paid off.
Theory is really paid off. Yeah.
Well, coming from a fellow trained artist, not that it doesn't mean a lot from anyone that says it, but that I take that as a high compliment. So thank you.
It's always interesting for me to see what color combinations people are drawn to and what they work with, and it's really fun to always, because there's so many options out there. There really are.
I know. I feel like we are really lucky because we have to come up with so many. I mean, I'm sure you guys do the same thing several times. So I get to do things that I would wear myself, and then also like, okay, I would probably never wear that, but it's really fun to kind of play around with those combinations too.
Different color combo and see how it goes. And then there's somebody out there that would be like, that's so me. That's the one they need.
Yeah, sometimes our kits will be in colorways that I'm like, I would never think of these colors together. But it's really fun to test it out and see how it is. And there's always people that are like, this is my favorite color, or this is my favorite kit you've ever made. And I'm like, yeah, I would normally just go to my normal turquoise and
everything would be turquoise. What can we pair turquoise with this year?
This time. Red. Right now I'm obsessed with red. So yeah.
I jokingly have been saying for several years now that turquoise is the new black. I am convinced that you can literally wear it with anything, and no one can convince me otherwise.
It's the truth. It's because they don't need to convince you otherwise. It just is really the truth.
Sam says Sarah wishes every kit was yellow. Yeah, yellow and turquoise, and she'd be just set. Add in some red occasionally.
Yeah, I mean, I like purple and I like blue, but yeah, yellow and turquoise have my heart for sure.
So I beat it along with you, Cassandra.
Yay! To the big screen here.
So I used the beads from our lunar kit.
And then, I was like, why do those colors look familiar? The Lunar New Year.
The Lunar New Year.
Yay.
And I don't have it finished yet, but I used the little gold, they're like matte gold pips that I had.
Yeah.
And so I think I have to adjust where I linked them on these because they feel a little wonky on one side.
What is that component?
Super
that
fun.
So cool.
Yeah, they're just like these little cage beads.
Okay. Yeah.
They were in the bead mix.
Yeah. They probably are gonna give you fits until you.
They're a little off kilter, so I may have to swap those for something else. But that's what I had in my mix.
Beautiful! Yay!
Yeah. Tiara cast rings.
Yes, tiara cast rings. And that's a good idea.
Yes, I'm
going to swap that.
Happy Lunar New Year to everyone. The Year of the Tiger. It's very exciting.
It is. Yeah, I have my kids at home homeschooling, so we've been learning about Lunar New Year this year. And I learned all sorts of new things that I didn't know before, as I do every week.
Teaching them in school.
The biggest thing I learned, and I posted this, is that fortune cookies are American. And I had no idea that they were American. So that was kind of a funny thing to learn.
I think your girls did a little puppet show yesterday too, didn't they?
They did, yeah. They made little puppets of the dragon and the lion that they do in the big parade for the first day of Lunar New Year. And then last night they did a puppet show of the parade. And then there were like Paw Patrol characters and other onlookers watching the parade. And it was really amusing.
That's very cute. That's really, really cute.
For about a half hour. And then my husband and I were like, okay.
Parade's over. We have finished the parade. Becky says everything would be purple and fuchsia pink for her if she was designing. That's so funny. I know we all have our go-to colors, right? And that's what's fun about kits is that you really can kind of step out of your little colorway and see and play with some other things that maybe you would have a hard time putting together yourself.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So when do you normally do your videos, Cassandra, so that people can tune in and they can see what you're up to on a regular basis?
It's so kind of you to assume that I would have a regular schedule there. Because that's the artist part of me that like kind of tweaks in there that sometimes it's like, for instance, tomorrow when I realized I was going to have another snow day and we would be at home all day again, I said, well, this is the perfect day to do that heart video because I, didn't have another time slotted for it. I was going to record it like ahead of time and then just post it because of our move that is happening next week. But normally I try to do the videos in the evening in Michigan because we're on East Coast time, and I know that helps like catch people at a better time on the West Coast. But tomorrow I'll be doing my video live at 3:00 our time. So sometimes it's just really kind of on a schedule.
Is it 1 o'clock? We're
3 hours ahead of.
Eastern time?
I'm on like New York. Yep.
Okay, so then it'll be 12 o'clock Pacific time.
Yeah, so maybe it'll catch people on their lunch hour, hopefully. But
do you do your videos on your Facebook page?
I do. I do them live from Facebook normally.
Okay, and do they look up Beads to Live By on Facebook?
Yeah,
right?
Everywhere we are, we've got our handle, as our business name as much as possible to try to keep it easy.
I know it's tough. Sometimes we have it Softflex Wire. Sometimes we have it Softflex Company. It can be tricky to get them all the same.
All the same
places. Yeah.
When we were opening our business, they said, you go find the URL for the business name you want to use, because if it's taken, you might as well, in this day and age, you might as well forget it. Your company name needs to match your website and stuff. So
very true.
True.
Yeah,
it's really true. Well, fantastic. So we think you guys should go follow Cassandra on Facebook. And then tomorrow, check out her sale that she's having, 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern. And then just keep an eye on her page. Once she's gone live and you're there with her, you can click to get notifications. And once you do that, then you'll know when she comes up and be able to watch either in person or watch on replay after the fact. I also love to follow Cassandra on Instagram. So that's a great place where you can see a lot of stuff that she's posting. And we just really appreciate you carrying Softflex beading wire and supporting our business, Cassandra. And we're happy we got to spend a little bit of time with you today and learn more about your business.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for having such a wonderful product that makes me want to use it as well.
Perfect. We love to hear that. That's the end goal. Everybody making jewelry with Softflex, right?
Bead takeover.
Yes. And just a couple last things. Make sure you check out the finding sale on our website, softflexcompany.com. And then also go to our Softflex Company Facebook page and check out the live sale, which is happening through tomorrow night, Thursday at midnight. and they'll start pulling orders on Friday morning for the live sale. And there is some special Lunar New Year discount deals in that live sale that were unusual. So check those out too. All right, I think that's
all right. Oh, this was so much fun.
Time with you.
I had a great time, girls. Have a wonderful evening, and hopefully I'll see you again sooner than later.
Stay warm. Do you have a fireplace?
We do, and it is covered in boxes right now, but that's fine because we use a little electric heater that sits in it normally that looks like a little fire. So
my parents have that too, and you know that thing works really well.
I mean, I don't have to adjust the temperature in our first floor if I have that running during the day or in the evening. So
it's really cute too. I joke that I want one. I mean, I would only need it for a very short period of time here in Arizona, but there is a period of time. There is a period of time and when I'm bundled up in blankets. But they are really cute. All right, well, stay warm
when
over
it's
there.
Like 60 degrees.
In Michigan.
Thanks so much, guys.
It probably really is 60 degrees when she's bundled up.
That's this morning. I woke up this morning, it was 68 in here, and I was like, why is it so cold? Where are my slippers and my sweatshirt?
I know how you Southerners are.
I mean,
all right. Well, thank you, everybody. It was really a pleasure.
It's like 10 degrees outside of Michigan.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Oh my gosh. And hopefully Cassandra will come back and show us a future project. So I'm going to end here. Everyone say bye.
Bye, everybody.